Hi, it's still me, Neil Walters at neilsvideos.com. Today's topic is what is a meta file or metadata in the Townstar game. So if you're going to be serious about playing Townstar and most of the Gala games, you're going to have to sign up for Discord. Maybe that'll be another video. But this is the Discord server, and over here you see all these different groups they have, and one of them is Townstar. There's different ones where you can ask questions, and you can go to Townstar announcements. You may have to scroll to the bottom, or sometimes it will say here, jump to current or jump to the bottom or something like that. And anyway, so today I was playing on the practice servers, the play to earn servers, and it was about 10 or 15 minutes till 11 a.m. Central, which is when the competition begins. And I looked away and I came back and my screen was refreshing. I thought that's strange. And then I was getting ready to, this week I was playing with the candy cane shops, and all of a sudden I noticed that they only needed half the electricity, or actually a third or so of the electricity. And I was like, what's going on here? And then I just saw some other weird things, and I said, I bet they changed something. So I came over here to Discord. I went to this Townstar announcements, and just about that time, no, actually, they announced it the night before. Okay. But anyway, that was the time of day they applied this file, which means they go update probably their database on their servers or their config file, however they run it. And they mess around with the values of the data that drives the game. So you still have the same things you put on the screen, but you'll see in a minute how they can totally change the play of the game and who wins based on this meta file. So let's just read this. He says, I'm sorry, it wasn't 24 hours in advance. So usually they try to tell you a day ahead of time. It says new meta time. New meta starts when the new weekly competition starts, 11 a.m. for my time, Central Time. Candy canes are set to $250 and 1830 points. And you can multiply that by 10, of course, because you sell 10 at a time. So normally the candy store would actually create about $250,000 when you sell 10 of the peppermint candy canes. But this week in the competition, it's only going to pull in apparently 10 times that, only $2,500. However, the points are going to go astronomical for them. And it says with half of the crafting requirements. So that means if it normally needs 10 energies, you're only going to need 5 energies. So they made some of it easier, and then they made the points a lot bigger, but they made the dollars smaller. So what does that mean? Well, we'll show you that in a minute in my practice game. This is the spreadsheet. So let's go back here. A lot of you probably know what Google Docs is, and basically provide for us here a spreadsheet that is stored on Google Docs. And you can basically just take this link here and either click on it or open it in your browser. And this is what you see. Now, I wish I had the metadata file for the normal game, and then I could compare for you, but some of them I may just be able to do partially by memory. But let's go down here to candy canes, okay? So see this line right here. And by the way, if you ever want to make a copy of this file, you just say up here, File, Make a Copy. And if you have your own Google account, it'll save it on your Google Drive. It'll say copy of Townstar, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So here is the candy canes. So the selling price for 10 of them is $2,500. So normally, if the goal of the game is to sell candy canes, like you put all your efforts toward that and you make money from it and you just keep plowing your profits back into what you're doing and you just build more of it and more of it, right? But this week, that will actually mess you up because you're not making any money from them and you still have to run your town. All your farmers and ranchers and all those points per minute or dollars per minute that you're spending, they're going to be eaten up if you don't have some other profits in your game. This is the creation time. Actual time is 120 with a multiplier of 3. So maybe that means it takes longer to make the candy during this special week. So this week during the competition, this is what the meta game is going to be, or the metadata. Meta means like data, like metadata is like data about the data. You know, everybody's talking about the metaverse, these days too. But anyway, so now let's go back to my practice server game here. And I did go away, had to go to the dentist. I came back, and so I did make 300,000 of these game dollars. But what is kind of freaks with your mind is making dollars and making points is now two different goals. So the way you win the weekly competition is based on points. And again, I'm only on a play server right now. I wish I was 513 on the real server. Okay. So I've got 550,000 points and this many of the fake dollars. So now let's look at a couple of these candy stores here. So normally I think it would require 4 peppermints, 6 sugar, and 10 energy. So see what they did is they just took the normal crafting requirements and they divided it by 2. And so I had already set up my town to provide as much energy as I could, and I was still short. And I was having to create the energy batteries with one of my power plants so that it would feed the ones that didn't get, none of them I think actually got the full 10. This one's probably the closest because he gets a little juice from this power plant, this one, and the one across the street. But like this one back here is only getting a little bit from here and here. But once they cut the requirements in half, it was, anyway, it's much easier for all of them to get the energy they need. They may not still be there completely. Now, a lot of people talk about doing a wool rush to start the game where you build a bunch of sheep pens. And that actually works perfectly when you're playing the uniform fabrication game where you're making uniforms because the uniforms require cotton and wool. So that's kind of one of the easier setups because you only have basically 2 crops to deal with. And of course, your wood. When you're playing cakes, it gets kind of crazy because you have to have the salt or the brine, you have to have flour, you have to have sugar, and then you still have to balance all that and still have wood and everything else. So your silos, it just gets a little crazier playing that kind of a game. So instead of a wool rush, sometimes I do my own sort of, I call it a barn rush, I guess, where as soon as I can, I build one barn and then I start selling milk, and the milk sells for $40,000, where I think wool only sells for 30,000. And then as soon as I can, I build usually 3 or 4 barns, sometimes more. And so if you saw a video from the other day, it was the same city that I'm playing with here called Neil Test. And I had, I think, 4 barns here and 4 barns down here. So then I totally refabricated my game. After last night, I had like $3 million over here in the funny money when I came in this morning. Don't mean to click that. So last night I had the auto sell script running, and I came back this morning. I had like 3.5 million of the funny dollars over here. And so I was able to rebuild my town, not completely the way I wanted, but it got a lot of it done. Like I paved a lot of the streets because I noticed that a lot of the runners for the mills over here that are grinding the sugar and the candy canes, they're very slow people. So I wanted to pave those roads to get them moving faster. And then I built a few more candy shops and I built a lot more windmills to keep making sugar so I'd have enough sugar to plow in here. The way I have it set up now is if you're playing in the competition this week, is you may have to do something like this. Basically, I'm using my milk barns. Here I'm selling some candy canes right now. And you can actually see when they come back. Okay, I'll pause and wait. But you see here I have 652, 284, and note my stars over here, 550, 570. Okay, I paused the video while the truck was delivering. Should be back here in 2 seconds. Over here on your right is your, oops, just disappeared, your speed bar for your truck. And you get your stars, and now our money went up. So see, my money before was 652,284. So my dollars went up exactly 25,000. If you look at the spreadsheet here, it says candy canes, 10 of them will give you $2,500. And how many points will it give you? Should give you 18,300. So up here, I had 550,000 and some odd points before. And now I have, 18,000, whatever more than that. So that's exactly what it's doing. So to win the competition, you want to have as much candy cane as possible. But if you just built all candy canes here, you're basically going to run out of money in probably an hour or two because at this point of the game, you're draining, like here, almost $6,000 of the funny money every single minute. Okay. So I have to have something to sell to basically fund my candy cane shops. And all in all, that's what metadata is about. And so you have to know each week in the competition what the metadata is. Because if you go today and started making cakeries or something like that, you come down here and look at cakes. Cakes are only going to make you 1,000 points. Now, it'll make you tons of money like before, but no points. So you can still have fun and play, but you won't place anywhere in the top 1,000 even if you're not making basically candy canes this week. And of course, it's Christmas. Why not do candy canes, right? Now, I could tell by context what they were saying. I'll tell you in a minute, but they used the word nerfed. And so I just Googled, define the verb nerf. And it says it's slang in video games to reconfigure an existing character or weapon, making it less powerful. The game development team nerfed several guns in a recent update. So that's not a Gala definition. That's just kind of a slang in the game industry. Now, over here, you read the guy's comments. He says candy canes are set to this many points with half the crafting requirements. Any crafts with points, normally over 100, will be nerfed to 100. So what that means is here, see, normally you get a bunch of points for selling baguettes, but in this game, you're only going to get 100 points per baguette, which would be 1,000 per 10. So that's why you're going to see a lot of 100s in here, because anything that was over 100 would be nerfed or reduced to 100. And this is, I guess, what makes the game interesting, because from week to week, the game is going to have a slightly different feel. If you play the exact same thing every week, people would get bored, right? So by changing this meta file every so often, they keep us on our toes. Now, how does this apply to your NFTs, for example? Well, I'm still able to use my wheat stand here to create feed for my cows, my barns here. But if you're really trying to win with the candy cane stores this week, what would really be nice is to have a sugar stand instead of a wheat stand. I've seen those. They're not, I don't see them as often, but some people have them, and I've seen them, I think, on the OpenSea.io. So anytime you're trying to build something with a lot of sugar, it would be nice to have a sugar stand as well. And so basically my wheat stand, did it become worthless in this game? I would say no, because A, I'm still getting my daily rewards over here, which by the way I got today. So I earned my 41 town coin, and it just so happened that I probably sold some candy canes or something. And you remember they're 18,000, whatever, 300, 500 points. So see, I jumped from under 1,000 to 19,000 probably in just one sale of candy canes. There's one more implication of this I'd like to kind of get across to you. There's one more implication of this I'd like to point out to you is if you're playing on the basically the play to earn or the test servers, whatever you want to call them, and let's say this week you wanted to practice making cakes. Well, this will totally screw up your practicing because you kind of have to practice whatever they set the meta file for this week. So if you were wanting to do blue steel or cakes or something like that, just to perfect your layout or your city, your town, this meta file would kind of basically screw with that. So again, for example, I probably overbuilt my power plants thinking I needed 10 energies. And what else would I change here? Yeah, like I probably don't need to create batteries anymore. So like this power plant here, I had it creating batteries or energies from the crude oil. So I'm going to stop crafting that, and then that will save me, what is the fee for that? $300 a minute. So see, now my minutely rate should go down over here. And what I'll do is for the next 30 minutes or so, I'll see if these batteries are being used. I'll just make a note, like I'll write down a piece of paper. Right now I have 23 of the energy or batteries, and I want to see if they go down to nothing or if they just stay at 23 now. And that will tell me if anybody's using them over here. Now, of course, you still need the energies if you build a new building, like another logger house, for example. You need 5 energies, that type of thing. Then by turning that off, I might be able to get rid of a couple of crude oil pumps because just to make gas, I don't need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't need 9 crude oil pumps just to make gas. I could probably get by with 5 or 4, maybe even 3. So that would be something that could open these spaces up for more buildings or more crops, basically. Just checking my batteries. I just saw it go up by one, and it's probably because I'm still running the old wind turbine here, which I probably should have destroyed by now anyway. The only other hint I think I could mention building this candy cane layout is, look at one of your stores here where it's asking me what the crafting values are. You need 2 peppermints this week and 3 sugars. So you need basically a 3-to-2 ratio of sugar to peppermint. So over here, look at this monitor. I'm actually making more peppermint than sugar right now. So I could probably just start by getting rid of one of my peppermint fields and changing it to a sugar field. Then maybe refresh my browser, let it run for an hour, and then I'll know if I'm more balanced or if I should do the same thing again. And to close out the video today, I thought I'd start just giving you some little obscure fact about myself. You know, the internet can be such an impersonal place. So the fact for today was I lived in Puerto Rico in 1996 for 9 months. I worked for the telephone company. They call it the Telefonica. And I did study Spanish a lot in school. I'll tell you more about that later. So that is the strange fact about Neil today. So I hope we get to know each other better, and I'll see you in the next video.